Hi, I'm Denise Graff, and we're beginning to work with the chair and the weights now. So we're incorporating a few things to our Pilates workout, and it's really important for us with any kind of joint conditions that we want to strengthen our muscles. And these are the muscles that support the joints. I'm going to add just a couple of things here. Something that's nice to have is a glove with wrist support. So if you have a rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, uh, XYZ arthritis, there's so many autoimmune diseases and arthritic conditions. The glove is really nice. You just put it on and you wrap it around, and it gives you a little extra support on your wrist. You can get this as most any sporting goods stores, probably even some of your bigger like Target, Walmart type things. And the wrist support, you can control how much support you want around your wrist. And I will say that when you're lifting up heavy things, when you're working your bodies, training your muscles, that wrist support, hand support is important. The other thing I'm going to tell you about is a TheraBand. A TheraBand, non-latex TheraBand, has nice resistance. You can get different colors. I like to start with green. It's just kind of a medium, nice resistance. And this offers joint support. And I'm going to show you how we use it. So today you're going to need a straight back chair. You're going to want to have a TheraBand. And if you don't have one, at least on this video, you can see how we use it so that you can get yourself one and hopefully have access to this video again. And then we're going to start with light weights and then a heavier weight. We're going to think about when we starting out, if you're from couch to fitness, or you've had a flare up and you're on your way back, that we want to ease in where we don't want to go 0 to 90, right? We want to maybe just amp up that little bit, like you're driving on the interstate, you're just slowly amping up speed. And this is the same thing with fitness that we want to do. So with your TheraBand, a nice way to use it, of course, if you wear your gloves or not, you take the flat part of the band and you're going to wrap it wide around your hand, and it offers support so that you're not having to grip. And so holding on to that band, we're just going to get into our rotator cuff, the little guide wires that support your shoulder. So you're going to anchor with one hand, the other hand is up. You're going to glue that elbow into your arm, and we're just going to open and close like a door, right? And so open and close. And the cool thing about this, you're in control with how much tension you want. So you don't have to have a lot of tension here, but you can, right? Depending on your fitness level. And then you're going to think about bringing your hand to your stomach and then pulling out like your Popeye the Sailor Man, right? You're just pulling out, taking the elbow out. And this is nice and gentle. And you're offering as much feedback as you want. And we're having that shoulder is nice and supported with the anchor of the TheraBand. And then we'll do the other side. So you'll just wrap that hand, widen that so that you're not having to pinch it, and then hold on with the opposite hand, and that open and close, right? Your elbows glued into your side. It's just the same thing that we did on the other side. We're just kind of getting the circulation going in the shoulder joint. And 3, 2, 1, and then bring your hand to your stomach, and we're going to take the elbow out and bring it back. There you go. That's it. Just your little Popeye arms, and just notice what you notice in your shoulder, and you're only moving in the range of motion that feels okay to you. Okay. 2 and 1, and then unwrap your hand. Now, flatten out your band, and you want a pretty long band. I think I have mine about 5 feet long, and worth it because I can do so many things with this band, and I can travel with this band. You're going to place the bottoms of your feet so that the band is nice and secure. And then again, I'm going to do a nice soft wrap on my hands of the band so that it is secure. And then you're going to stand up tall and strong. And then your biceps curls. You're gluing your elbows in. And this, what I like about the biceps curl here is that the elbow tendon is supported. So if you have a cranky elbow we can go into flexion, extension, and both directions are supported by the TheraBand. So we have some support against gravity, but we get to still load the muscle. So your palms get that rotation in your forearm. Remember, we want to maintain that range of motion. So palms are up when you're lifting and pushing down when you're lowering. And remember the tricep, the back of your arm, that is responsible for extension of the arm. So as you straighten your arm, can you go to your full range of motion? I'm at mine. Elbow straight and then curl it up. Elbow straight and then curl it up. So we can definitely work our range of motion here. Now, if it feels okay to you today, we're going to take one side at a time overhead. So you're just going to reach up as if you were reaching for something and back down. And we're going slow. We want to feel the feedback of lowering and lifting. And notice how supported your shoulders are. You have resistance, but the TheraBand is offering you the joint support so that you can stay in control of what's happening, right? Your ribs are pulled in, so you're not arching your back, and you're just lifting one at a time. That's it. And then we can go to forward arm raises. So as you're standing on your band, remember it's nice and firm, you're just going to go lifting to the front. And you would increase the repetitions here, right? So as you get stronger, you would probably add 2 to 3 sets and maybe 3 sets of 10, 2 sets of 10 on up. And then you're going to fly like an eagle. You're going to take it out, going to your range of motion. Remember, the less resistance you have, the easier the activity. But we want the support of the TheraBand in the joints. We want to load the muscles. So you're lifting and lowering as if you were eagle flying. 2 and 1. And then cinch up on your band again. And then you're going to set your hips back. Keep your spine nice and long. Keep your arms as straight as possible. And you're going to press the band back. Just pump it back. Now straighten your elbows as straight as they'll go. And think of expanding your chest to the front of the room. So going to keep your spine in that nice lengthened position as you pump back. And we're getting the mid upper back muscles. But they're nice and supported. 3, 2 more, 1 more. So same thing, you might add sets to all of these exercises, right? That's just your intro to your TheraBand. Now we're going to use your chair. So you're facing your chair and you have your feet together, and we're just going to kind of bend your knees and lift them up. So this might be the position that you would walk down the stairs in, right? Now let's just say on any given day that you have knee pain, you're working on strengthening your quads and your hamstrings. But let's say today you had a little knee pain and it just doesn't feel like the front of your thigh is 5 muscles. Like, where the heck is it? So we're going to sit in the chair. And sitting tall and strong, that's why you have a hard back chair, to make you think about just sitting up. And if your chest is forward, let's bring it back on top of your hips. And then you're just going to extend your legs. So these are leg extensions. When you extend your leg, you're just going to palpate the top of that quadriceps. So your VMO is called. It generally kind of goes on mute if your knee swells. And so this is a nice way to get that synovial fluid through the joint. And you're working on getting that muscle to wake up, okay? Another nice way you can do this is to actually offer compression to the knee joint. You're pressing in. If you feel any swelling, you could press into it, massage it as you're straightening your legs, okay? So again, on the leg extension, you're going to add maybe 3 sets of 10. Super important for those with arthritic conditions that we keep this muscle firing. Then you're going to scoot to the edge of your chair, roll through those feet. We're going to strengthen your ankles and your toes. And we know that with rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and some of the other arthritic conditions that, generally speaking, the small joints go under attack. Not always, but many times. So your toes arguably are smaller joints. So we're going to spread them and see if we can give them as much range of motion and blood flow as possible. We want circulation in those feet. So you're going into dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, and then you're going to raise the toes as much as you can, and then the heels. And then the feet are flat on the floor. Can you raise your toes and lower them? Raise your toes and lower them. And you just might do, again, here's maybe 3 sets of 10, 4 sets of 10 here. And then lift up for those little calf raises. And as you lift up for the calf raises, you're pressing into the forefoot. And sometimes the forefoot is cranky. So you're just going to use what is available to you on any given day, but working in your bare feet, good idea at this point. And think about minimizing rolling on the outsides, but think of your first 3 toes on each foot that you're going to roll through those. 2 and 1. And then we could go back into that leg extension and go ankle circles in each direction. Again, you can add repetitions. I'm suggesting you start with 1 set of 10 if you're just beginning, and then you increase week after week, maybe add another set, like then 2 sets of 10. All right. And then we're going to stand up, and then we'll sit back down. All right. So this resembles a squat. Your feet are flat on the floor. You're going to really be heel heavy, and then you'll feel your glutes and hamstrings work for you. Notice the deceleration. When we sit back in the chair, you're going to feel your quads, right? It's going to feel a lot like when we go down the stairs. Sitting to standing is one of the best exercises you can do for strengthening those legs. And sitting all the way down, standing up, this may seem oversimplified, but if you have a joint condition, this is a nice way to strengthen the muscles that support the joints. Now, let's add light weights. So we're going to start out remembering, take into consideration, let's imagine that you're just starting. And if you're not just starting, you already know that you can increase the weight. Now you're adding extra weight, you're holding on to your weights. You could have water bottles if you don't have weights accessible to you. I realize that many of us don't have little gyms in our homes. So just think about if you could hold something of weight in each hand, even if it's a book, if it's a grocery sack, it's a water bottle, right? And you're adding weight. Right there is going to help you strengthen those muscles. So just a simple sit to stand, okay? Adding weights, and then obviously as you get stronger, you can have more weight. And you'll notice that when you do more weight, wow, that makes a difference, and you really feel that feedback, and you're keeping it real. So you could have a lower chair. If you've been working out already, you could have a lower chair. Of course, the progression would be to not have a chair at all and just do your sit to stands as you get stronger, okay? So that's with the weights and the chair. And then we're going to think about sitting back down in your chair and off center. So one leg is ahead of the other, the back leg, the heel is lifted, and you're going to get up this way because we don't always get up the same way, right? So that you're in a mini lunge, and then you might do it the other way. All right, so you're going to start where you are. It's not a competition. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You're just going to be patient with the process, but know that every repetition you do is helping you get stronger. You're just not in a hurry. And when you lower, think of lowering with control. We've all been sore, I'm sure, to the point where we felt like we had to plop in the chair, right? But we're going to think about that deceleration. That's where your strength gain is going to be as you lift and lower out of the chair. So off-center stance. Then come behind your chair. Behind your chair, we'll work some muscles that support the hips. So you're just going to turn your legs out like you're a little penguin. Hold on to your chair. Imagine that your back is up against the wall, and you lower and lift. You're thinking of zipping up the front. So we're going to go into another quadricep exercise for the front of your thigh. Okay, down, lift, down, lift. Now, can you just lift your heels only high enough as if you had a cowboy boot on or a Hoka tennis shoe, right? And you're zipped up nice and tall, and then you're going to lower and lift. And we're going to try to get that full range of motion. Weight is put into the first 3 toes on each foot, depending on your comfort level. Let's just say that you're rolling up on the heels was not available to you one day. You could roll up bath rags and put them under your heels and rest your heels on them for support, and we would still be quad centric. Okay. And then we can add pulses here for fun. Your kneecap is tracking right along the femur. You're upright. Your hips are right underneath your rib cage. And this is a lot of fun. 3, 2, and 1. And then you can stand facing your chair, keeping your knees right underneath you. You're just going to go into a hamstring curl. So we want to get the hamstring. So your knee stays pointed down. Your foot is in dorsiflexion, and you're just bringing the heel as close to your glute. It's okay for you. We want to do both. All of these exercises, to try to get everything in, I'm just giving you instruction that all of the exercises, you're going to start maybe 1 set of 10, increase 2 sets of 10, increase 3 sets of 10. Before you know it, you're getting strong and you're looking for more challenging exercises. Then you stand side to your chair. We're also going to get your abductors. So we're going to take your leg out and in. You're standing tall and strong, just light touch of the chair, taking your leg away from the body. Doesn't need to be high, right? And then you can just take it out there in pulses. So it feels a little isometric like. And this is a great way to work that muscle. And 4, 3, 2, don't even need any equipment, right? And then we would do the same thing, other side. I'm not going to turn my back to you, so I'll just put my chair around, and you're lifting and lowering with control, keeping that nice long torso. You're going to think about 1 set of 10, then 2 sets of 10, then 3 sets of 10, etc. And then one day you're going to go, I want to work it with balance. Right? And that's fun. And then pulses. So here's a progression. Just thinking of working it with balance. We could add a weight in our arm for scapular stability as we take the leg out. That's it. And then split stance, holding onto your chair. It's a lunge. Right? And then as you get stronger, you can take that lunge toward the floor. Real important. The front foot heel is connected to the floor. The back foot, ball of your foot, your forefoot, to offer feedback in your quad and that patellar tendon. And so we really want the support of front and back foot so you're even. And then to progress this, obviously, you would take a weight and we would just increase it with weight, right? And then you would go up in weight, and then perhaps you would be able to do it without the chair and have a weight in each hand as you go down and up, right? We would do each leg here. And so think of the other side is in front. You wouldn't even have to move your chair. And then you could add the weight. You're going to keep equal weight front and back. Heel of the front leg, ball of your foot in the back. You want to feel that dorsiflexion in the back foot, connecting to the ball of your foot, lifting and lowering. That's it. 2 more and 1 more. The other thing I want to talk to you about is range of motion. You all know this. So holding onto the back of your chair, we'll lift one arm up and then make a big pinwheel around. And we're looking to reach. You're straightening your arm as much as you can. And we're working on getting that range in your shoulder. You'll do on each side. I call these pinwheels, but you're just essentially making a big circle as big as you can as you get this rotation. And then we're going to think about elbow joint. As you worked with your TheraBand, when you went into that joint flexion extension, we want to remember to continue to do that joint flexion extension. And then the wrist circles, right? The wrist circles, it's the same thing we did with our ankles, that you're doing them with the wrists now. And then we want to talk about the fingers. And this, I like to say, I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. I have joint damage in mine, and it's from, of course, having my children and not being on anything to prevent it. But another story, another day. But to think about spreading your fingers, spreading the joints, and working in between that. Those you want to keep that connective tissue pliable. We want to hydrate it. So I would say just a little bit beyond comfort to discomfort, not talking about that big pain, but just that little bit of discomfort in your hands of spreading the hands and thinking that same thing on the feet. And then we're also going to think about our neck. So as you're moving your head, your shoulders up, back, and down, we could do an ear to shoulder. And notice that when we do that, that muscle right there gets elongated. And we'll just do this really gentle. So you want to move and think about your neck staying long. And I'm doing a side view for a reason. That as we bring our head center and look up, the back of your head is not collapsing. Instead, the front of your neck elongates, and then your neck extensors are going to come on as you tip your head in the opposite direction. So you're tipping your head, but thinking the back of your skull reaching the ceiling. So your chin doesn't really make it to your chest because you've kept the back of the neck long and your shoulders relaxed. And then when we look up, the back of the head does not collapse, but your gaze can still go and watch the eagle overhead. And then you elongate the neck by engaging the front muscles of the neck as your extensors lengthen in the back of your neck. So the neck, keeping your neck, those are smaller bones, right? So we want to keep those neck bones moving and movable, because think about all the things we do where we turn our head, we look up and down. So we want to keep the head moving too. So this all I have for you today because of the time limit, and we will continue with our tips, our tricks, and our conditioning. Thanks for tuning in.